Build new or remodel? Let's talk about it. So you're in the market for a new home, a new property, and you come across one that's 100 years old, 100 plus, and you think, man, this thing, it's a good price, but it is really run down. It's gotta be better just to tear it down and build new, start fresh, right? Well, I wanna talk to you about this very thing, the pros and the cons of remodeling versus building new, and why remodeling an old home often gives you something new construction just can't, and how a quality, well thought out remodel of an old home tells a story of history, character, values, and passion. I've built my reputation on helping homeowners navigate these very decisions. And here's my take. There's a balance. It depends. Maybe not the most helpful, but the truth. First, let's talk about what you gain when you remodel. You know the old saying, they just don't build them like they used to? Well, there is a little bit of truth to that. Historic homes were built with stronger lumber, heavier materials, craftsmanship and proportions that stand the test of time. The millwork, the stone, the molding profiles, the way the house even sits on the lot, it all has a character that connects you and the property to history. Buying trim from a big box store is not the same as recreating an old profile that was well thought out about the proportions and how those proportions are put together to make you feel. At Arkwright, we bring in our own experienced carpenters to restore and replicate historic details. We carefully integrate new systems so they don't compromise the look and the feel. We work with designers and architects, and we try to strike that perfect balance of preservation and modernization. When you remodel, you're not just modernizing, it's obviously part of it, but you're preserving and enhancing the timelessness while updating the parts that you need updated. In short, you end up with something unique. Not another house off the assembly line, but your home with history and personality built in. That's why it's so important to put in the planning up front in the very beginning stages of these projects, especially with older homes. Do the investigation and planning now so you don't end up with surprises later, or as few as possible. Now, here's the truth. Remodeling an old home is harder. It is more complicated than building new. You never know exactly what you're gonna find when you open up the walls, old framing, possibly some botched remodels, unfortunately, outdated electrical, plumbing, mechanicals, maybe even foundations that need to be repaired or reinforced. Nothing is flat, nothing is straight, nothing is level, nothing is square. But that's where a quality contractor's process matters most. Don't wing it. Make sure you anticipate and plan it. It's not the fast or the easy route, but it is the right one when remodeling. On the other hand, tearing down and building new gives you a blank canvas. Everything is modern, everything is efficient, and hopefully up to all the current building codes. The process can be more predictable, and in most cases it costs less than trying to retrofit an older structure. So you're working with less restraints, and if you have the right architect and designer and contractor, yes, you can still create something amazingly timeless, quality, and full of character. I don't want to downplay the possibilities of what new construction offers. However, it is harder to come by these days, and most everyone wants the instant amenities that come with a developer's pre-built home. But I always remind homeowners, what you gain in efficiency, you often lose in character. I personally believe remodeling is often the better choice, and I may be a little partisan, but once you tear down a home, it's gone forever. The character, the story, the sense of place, it's nearly impossible to design and rebuild that. With a remodel, you create something that feels timeless, rooted, historic, and personal. So, back to the question, remodel or tear down? It depends. But if you value craftsmanship, history, timeless design, remodeling gives you something new construction has difficulty delivering. You need to explore what works best for you, but there just is something about the process and the end result of a quality remodel versus a cookie cutter new construction.